Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Larry McKay. I am the Vice President of Operations and Finance here at La Casa Norte. I want to say thank you again for joining us today. At La Casa Norte, our mission over the past 20 years has been to provide shelter, housing, and assist unaccompanied youth and their families who are experiencing homelessness or are at risk of experiencing homelessness. La Casa Norte is a housing-first provider. We assist youth and families on Chicago's west and south side who need access to emergency shelter and permanent supportive housing. At La Casa Norte, we consider ourselves more than just a housing organization, right? We also provide case management services to all our permanent housing, emergency shelter, youth and families. La Casa Norte recognizes the effectiveness of the housing first model in reducing homelessness. La Casa Norte manages a variety of housing options, including this location here, Pierce House, which opened 4 years ago and is built in this community system. We provide 25 apartment units to permanent supportive housing, youth, and youth-led families. La Casa Norte also offers transitional housing at our Solid Ground location, which is located right down the block here on North Avenue. The Solid Ground location is a 16-male identified transitional housing program. We house youth between the ages of 18 and 21. They have their own room and they have access to common spaces within the housing program. They also have a kitchen and a recreational center. In addition, La Casa Norte, we manage 69 scattered site apartments for youth and families and a rapid rehousing program serving 116 households. We also administer rental assistance applications as well, processing more than 1,000 applications in 2022. This includes our staff assisting some of the Spanish-speaking migrants families brought to Chicago since last fall. La Casa Norte has served more than 20,000 people in a year since the pandemic hit, far surpassing the 5,000 that we served in 2019. This includes services through our community center. We have a drop-in center for youth ages 16 to 24, and we also have a community pantry managed by Nourishing Hope and Howard Brown Health Clinic. We also have 3 overnight youth shelters, including one for young mothers with children. We assisted 187 youth in 2022 alone. For over a year after the pandemic hit, working with the City of Chicago, the YMCA, and the Salvation Army, La Casa Norte staffed a 70-bed youth shelter that was open 24/7. We're among homeless service providers who tonight will count the youth who are staying with us for Chicago's annual point in time count. La Casa Norte could not meet all of the needs of our community without the support and increased support during the pandemic from the City of Chicago, including its Department of Housing and Family Supportive Services from all Chicago, the state of Illinois, and also the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our government partners, along with our foundation and corporate partners. It make it possible to provide a breadth of housing and support services needed by Chicagoans who face homelessness. At this time, I would like to welcome our next speaker, Diane Shelley, Midwest Regional Administrator for HUD.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's such a pleasure to be here with you on this balmy winter day in this great city of Chicago. I bring you greetings from the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, the Honorable Marcia Fudge. I know that she would have loved to be here today. At HUD, our mission is to ensure safe and affordable housing for all and build strong, inclusive, and sustainable communities. And it is a great honor to be here today with Commissioner Nazi, Commissioner Navarro, Illinois Homeless Chief Christine Haley, the Director of All Chicago, because we all share the same vision for this great city. We have the pleasure of having with us today the HUD's Assistant Secretary for Congressional and Intergovernmental Governmental Relations, Dr. Kimberly McLean. Dr. McLean traveled here from Washington, D.C., and she will be joining us tonight in the pit count. Thank you for coming to our great city. I am Diane Shelley, the Regional Administrator for HUD. I basically oversee 6 states within my region, but I am a native Chicagoan, and obviously Illinois and the city of Chicago is close to my heart. In late December, HUD's annual homelessness assessment report revealed homelessness here in the Midwest has declined by more than 3%. COVID and its economic impacts could have made a significant increase in those numbers, but it is through the work of all of those standing here with me today that there was a decrease. Earlier today, we shared that 105 communities, including Chicago, Cook County, and the great state of Illinois, that committed to HUD's House America initiative to address the homelessness crises by leveraging federal monies and resources have collectively exceeded our expectation. And I would ask that you applaud that at this time. Through House America, more than 100,000 households experiencing homelessness have been permanently housed, and over 40,000 affordable housing units have been added to the development pipeline. Now, this could not have been done without the local coordination that you see here today and the Biden-Harris administration. Their historic investment in housing supply, and community development. From the American Rescue Plan Act resources that helped house some of the country's most vulnerable populations, to President Biden's Housing Supply Action Plan geared to close the housing supply gap in 5 years, all including the federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness, and to reduce homelessness by 25% by 2025. The administration, the Biden-Harris administration, and HUD are doing everything in our power to end homelessness through a housing-first approach. Unfortunately, on a single night in 2022, roughly 582,500 people were experiencing homelessness in the United States. And tonight, we will embark on the 2023 point in time count. Thank you again for joining us here. We are looking forward to a stronger reduction in homelessness in 2023. Why? Because we're all working tirelessly to ensure every American has a stable home and using every tool in HUD's toolbox to strengthen our programs and resources. We would ask that you follow HUD and follow the work that it's doing. At this time, I would like to welcome Illinois' Homeless Chief, Christian Haley, who is leading the state's comprehensive effort, our partner, to decrease homelessness, to the mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Administrator Shelley, the City of Chicago, and our generous host, La Casa Norte, for having us here today. On behalf of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, we welcome the opportunity to join you. Tonight, in cities across our state, men and women are braving the cold while living in tents and in abandoned buildings, on buses and trains, in barns and in back seats of cars, because they do not have a safe and affordable place to call home. Tonight, in cities and towns across our state, parents with infants and toddlers are spending the night in emergency shelters and in church basements, trying to figure out how to be able to move into a home of their own. Tonight, in cities and towns across our state, teenagers are trying to find a quiet place to do homework while they are living temporarily with a friend, worried about when their family will be asked to move again because they have outworn their welcome. We are here together right now because we believe that we can end this cycle of housing instability. We know that it is not personal failures or mistakes that are at the root of homelessness, but it is the lack of affordable housing, and it's the lack of a safety net, a comprehensive housing safety net that is at the root of our housing crisis. We know that housing ends homelessness, and we want to work together to create more sustainable, healthy, and affordable housing in our city and across the state. In this last year, the state of Illinois has launched our first interagency task force on homelessness and released our first state plan called Home Illinois. We've also launched our first Community Advisory Council on Homelessness that is also have membership here today by Commissioner Kanazi and Director Ross. With over 100 activities, over 16 state agencies that have activities within Home Illinois, it sets a strategic framework for us in how we will end homelessness in our state, including building more affordable and permanent supportive housing, bolstering our homelessness safety net, and closing the mortality gap for unhoused persons, as we know from national data that the average age of death for an individual experiencing homelessness is in their early 50s. We know that preventing families from losing their housing in the first place is the key to ending our homelessness crisis. We are grateful for the support that the state of Illinois has received from our federal partners, including our emergency rental assistance program, where the state has been able to distribute over $1 billion of rental assistance since the beginning of COVID, keeping over 137,000 Illinois families housed. We are also thankful for our deep partnership of our federal partners at HUD, the City of Chicago, local continuum of care, and our community partners across the state who work day and night to create more and sustain more permanent supportive housing. With the support of federal funding, the state of Illinois plans to invest another $56 million in permanent supportive housing and $57 million in non-congregate shelters in 2023. As we leave here today, may we leave united as a community with alignment across our city, state, and federal partners to push towards our vision of ensuring that every Illinoisan has a safe and warm place to call home. I'd now like to turn over the mic to my colleague, Commissioner Brandi Kanazi from the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services.
Thank you, Chief Haley. Good afternoon. My name is Brandi Kanazi, and it is my honor to lead the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services. At DFSS, we are dedicated to ensuring that homelessness is rare, brief, and non-recurring. As you know, homelessness is not a one-size-fits-all concept, and the individuals who experience it are not a monolith. Instead, the experience is highly personal. The causes of homelessness are many, and the strategies to exiting homelessness require a number of resources and services. While we are only required to conduct a biannual point-in-time count, the City of Chicago performs the vital count every year. Starting at 10 p.m. this evening, hundreds of volunteers will span out across the city to engage and survey some of our unsheltered and homeless residents. Volunteers will provide basic necessities, including socks, hygiene kits, hand warmers, and other items. More importantly, they will connect with residents to understand their unique perspectives and experiences. This annual survey gives us a better understanding of the landscape and trends of the individuals we serve and allows us to respond with innovative and bold solutions. Over the last year, we have used the survey results in conversations with our partners and individuals who experienced with lived experiences to build new programs and infrastructure that support their needs. One of those bold new approaches we have undertaken over the last 18 months is the Expedited Housing Initiative. This strategy brings together private, public, nonprofit partners to remove barriers to housing the homeless. Through EHI, we connect households to service providers, housing specialists, landlords, and wraparound services in one day through events called Accelerated Moving Events. There, individuals experiencing homelessness have the ability to access all of the elements necessary to move into housing in one day under one roof. These events have helped expedite the housing process, reducing the average time of waiting for housing from 94 days to 68 days. Just recently, we celebrated a milestone accomplishment and were able to house over 1,888 households. That's households, not individuals, through this program. Strategies like EHI are fundamentally changing the way we serve vulnerable populations. It all starts with the foundation of cooperation and trust. The relationships that we have developed with community partners, including the Chicago Continuum of Care, have paved the way for EHI to succeed. Similar partnerships with the Department of Veterans Affairs have helped us maintain a focus on the solutions necessary to reduce veterans' homelessness. Since 2015, the City of Chicago has seen a 57% decline in veteran homelessness. As we move forward in 2023, we are investing even more resources following through on those bold strategies needed to reduce homelessness. A new $27 million investment through the Chicago Recovery Plan and additional local funds will allow the continuum of the Expedited Housing Initiative and will allow us to house another 1,200 households and maintain those 1,000 individuals who are already housed. We are also working alongside our partners at the Department of Housing to develop more permanent supportive housing solutions through another $35 million investment from the Chicago Recovery Plan that will build 220 permanent supportive housing units for those housing insecure individuals. Next month, we will also be releasing a request for qualifications that will support and improve our existing shelter system. This $20 million investment will allow us to work with shelters to improve their operating facilities as well as provide less congregate spaces. These new strategies and investments prove that we can in fact move the needle. Tonight, hundreds of volunteers will head out to Chicago streets for the annual point-in-time count. We know that the work is just beginning. Thousands of individuals are still sleeping in tents, in shelters, or even doubled up with families or friends. There is still so much work to be done, but I would like to thank our 200 volunteers, our staff, and our partners for their work. Together, we all share the same goal: to ensure that all of our neighbors have the stability and safety of their own home. That goal can only be achieved through collective impact, through coordinated efforts of civic, nonprofit, and government sectors. Together, we can find those solutions that help our homeless friends become housed. So thank you first to Assistant Secretary Dr. McLean, to Administrator Shelley for coming and all of your work. I want to thank La Casa Norte for having us here tonight and everyone involved in tonight's work. But most importantly, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my team. Deputy Commissioner Maura McCauley, under her leadership, the team has done so much. And so the team that put this together, Kim Howard, Chandra Libby, and Christine Riley, and all of our homeless staff have done an amazing work over the last year. So with that, I would like to thank my friend and my partner, Commissioner Navara from the Department of Housing.
Thank you, and good afternoon. My name is Marisa Navara. I'm Commissioner of the Chicago Department of Housing. And I want to just say it's really an honor to be here. In the past, I think we had some kind of more stark lines around the Department of Housing built houses and units, and the Department of Family and Support Services funded shelters and services. And I think I can say with real conviction that we have a growing sense of shared responsibility around tackling issues of homelessness and joining our longtime partners at HUD and at the state, at the Department of Family and Support Services, and at All Chicago. And I'm really pleased that we just released earlier this week our draft guidelines to our next funding round. And in our next funding round, we will have a tract dedicated to permanent supportive housing, which with help from these federal dollars that Commissioner Kanazi mentioned. we're really excited about that. We're very excited that within that commitment, we are dedicating units toward people leaving incarceration in Illinois. We're dedicating units to people living doubled up and to people that are fleeing gender-based violence, along, of course, with folks meeting the traditional definition of homelessness. We're also partnering on a request for proposals for non-congregate shelter across the city, and we've already notched some victories in our last funding round. We reported through House America 57 units in our pipeline from our last funding round, in addition to all of those we hope to put forward in the next. So my main message, I am delighted to support our partners and to really say we are building a staff that really has the expertise and commitment to join our partners in this really important work, and we're honored to be here. Thank you. Carolyn Ross from All Chicago.
Just like family, I love you. I love you, it's okay. Good afternoon, I'm Carolyn Ross. I'm President and CEO of All Chicago, making homelessness history. All Chicago is the lead agency in Chicago's continuum of care, the umbrella organization that brings together more than 100 organizations, including my very special favorite, La Casa Norte, that brings together who work to prevent and end homelessness in Chicago. You've heard from the Commissioner about the Expedited Housing Initiative. The success of this initiative reaffirms that collaboration and innovation are essential to our efforts to help people in our community experiencing or at risk of homelessness. It is a collaboration that has brought together our government partners and nonprofit organizations to help streamline and improve our systems. It is an initiative born of the pandemic crisis, but we have taken away many key lessons about how well-managed collaborations increase our collective impact. We will continue our efforts to build resources to support our system-wide work, including the continued engagement of community partners, providing ancillary services to address the issues that often lead to homelessness. We are uniquely positioned to have a broad understanding of the challenges causing homelessness. This is critical as we work to reduce barriers to allow housing insecure populations unobstructed, quick access to housing. The point-in-time count offers us a crucial snapshot of who is experiencing homelessness on one night. But we also know that too many of our neighbors are experiencing homelessness on any given night. We are proud of the successes you have heard about this afternoon, and we all know that we have more work to do, but we must do it together. I know I speak for all of our partners, thanking this leadership team that is here before you. None of us can do this work unless we're doing it together. We all look forward to continuing this work in partnership with our federal, state, and city partners, and I want to thank you all for being here today.
I'm so sorry if I wanted to steal the mic for just a second and acknowledge my great staff that's here today. Our field office director, Kimberly Dana, who's in charge of the state of Illinois, and my deputy regional administrator, Jim Cunningham, that you may be familiar with, and we have other staff here, and I would have been remiss if I hadn't acknowledged them. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you all. That concludes media. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to me. I believe you all have my email and my cell phone. Thank you all.